Hi, it's George Nordhaus, and welcome to Monday Morning. Get off the X date. What the heck could that mean? That's a strange name, isn't it? Well, maybe not. I knew I grew up on X dates like a lot of other people did. But anyway, you're going to hear a friend of mine named Brandie Hinen. We've been working together for, gosh, I don't know how many years. How many years, Brandie? You have any idea?
Over 17 years now.
Oh, my goodness. Amazing. Powerhouse Learning, but you've probably heard her speak. She's doing all kinds of speaking all around the country. She's done a couple of these, also Monday mornings for me. She teaches a lot of different places. But at any rate, there she is, and she's coaching and training now a whole lot more. She's working with PIAs and the Big I State Associations very much now, and of course she spoke for us whenever had other businesses along the way here, and she challenges it. She makes us think, and that's what I like most about Brandie. She does make us think, and I don't know how what she's going to make us think about this time, but she's going to be talking about getting off the X date. Brandie, what is it?
Well, thanks so much, George. Getting off the X date, just like you said, is something that we were probably taught to do, and it's something that I think maybe it's an age-old practice that can do more harm than good. And so the IA magazine asked me to write an article on 4 ways to build client relationships throughout the year, not just 90 days before renewal.
Well, yeah, and that's where I got this the idea of doing this. I read that and I thought, oh my gosh, Brandie, that's a great idea. I love those things. And you're going to see some slides in here that'll blow your mind. Okay, where do we start?
Well, we start, like I said, with that age-old practice that does more harm than good. Now, look, George, when I started in the industry, I started as a young producer, and I was told by the person that brought me in that I was going to be put on the fast track for success. And 2 weeks later, in a 2-inch stack of telemarketing leads, I was on the track all right. And what I realized in very short order, because I was a young person in business, was that we had purchased all these telemarketing leads from some firm, and at the top right-hand corner of every page, there was a date. And I became familiar with that date as an X date, an expiration date for the policy that I suppose I was supposed to be selling. But here was the thing I realized after a while. That X date at the top right-hand corner probably wasn't exactly accurate. In fact, what I realized is that the telemarketing firm was getting paid just to put a date at the top of the page, right?
Only that.
Only that. So I'm sure many of you listening have had that experience. You call, you have some sort of an expiration date on a sheet of paper somewhere for a lead, and then you call that operation and they say, oh no, we just renewed last week, last month, last year. We don't know what you're talking about. The other thing that I want everybody to realize is, what date is it that you think that you're getting when you call and prospect and say, when is your X date? When is your renewal? They just give you a date. It could be their personal flood insurance for all you know. It could be their workers' compensation. It could be something completely different than you assume that it is. So I wanted to address this issue today. Well, and one of the things I wanted to talk about is, in these 4 areas, is that we have got to get off the quick and easy sale. And one of the things I talk about in the article is, what kind of relationships are you building? And if they're the kind you tell people all the great things you can offer 90 days before renewal, you're probably out there like every other desperate soul. And instead, I'd like you to consider each prospect as a potential friend. And in the article, I talk about an experience that I've had with one of my clients where we had developed a relationship over time on a one-on-one executive coaching basis, and then the next thing I knew, I had a private invitation to go in and meet with their executive team at a very large agency out of Atlanta. I want you to see relationships without conditions. I know there's plenty of time for qualifying that will come later. You know, we harp so much about getting in and asking all these questions right away and qualifying, and sometimes we forget about building relationship.
You haven't lost a thing in these 17 years.
That's right. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Not between us, anyway.
Right.
So, you know, think about who people really are, not just the way you see them in business. These people have hobbies and interests, and they've got friends, and they've got relationships. And the best relationships that I have are those that we know about one another personally. We know where we live. We know what's important. We know when our birthdays are. And here's another misnomer. Millennials care about relationships, too. In fact, if you really do some research, what we realize is that millennials are referral lead generation experts more than any other generation. Millennials care about giving to one another. They care about what one another's voice is, and in fact, they've influenced the rest of society, because don't we all go on to Amazon.com and look to see how a product is rated before we buy? That's because our millennials care about communicating. Please don't buy into old myths and judgments.
You know, it's unusual. This is an unusual interview we're doing, and I want people to know that this is the first time I've done a Monday morning face-to-face with somebody. I mean, we're always on the phone. We're always, you know, whatever it is. And Brandie came into Albuquerque because she's going to make a talk tomorrow to the New Mexico Big Eye. What's that about, Brandie?
Actually, we're working with the Big Eye of New Mexico to put together a year-long leadership program, and we're facilitating that for them tomorrow.
Year-long? That's unusual. And they're going to have this. You're going to be back.
Right, I'm going to be back. So I was so close between Santa Fe, New Mexico, or Santa Fe and Albuquerque. I couldn't not come and spend some time with George, and the timing worked out great with the publish of this article.
Sure as heck did. All right, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's fun. I really like it.
Sit together.
Yeah, it is. All right.
So I think the next point is asking the right questions. And one of the things that we talk about is good questions always uncover what's really going on in the mind of the buyer. So we want to uncover genuine challenges that people are having, and don't just feel people out for a good sale. Here's the thing. More and more in our society, and you're probably picking up on it both in our media and in politics and everything else, people get when you're not being real, when you're not being authentic. So ask the right kind of questions to find out what matters to them. What are some of the biggest challenges that they're facing in their day? And that's part of what we talk about in the article. We say cool questions that show interest in them, and what they're facing will show that you care more than just a number or a box to check off on your prospect list. And in fact, they're having challenges in their business in many different ways. And since we're talking numbers, each of us is connected to about 250 other individuals. So if you're doing right by people, the word will get around. Just saying.
Just saying. Just saying. All right.
So you have to stay on top of the timeline. I mean, what are some of the tax challenges that this business is having, or this individual? What's going on with their building plans, growth initiatives? Are they looking to buy a different house in a bigger community? You've got to have enough vision to stay on top of the timeline. And too often we have this tendency to write this X date down on a piece of paper and file it away somewhere, whether it's in our agency management system or on a paper file. I know some people still do that, or maybe it's just an updated tickler file, for those of you who are familiar with that term. So I'm saying have vision to stay on top of the timeline and treat people like people. The next thing is to wear your efforts on your sleeve. Here's the truth. What they don't know can hurt you. And so
that's interesting. Can hurt you.
It can hurt you, because we're doing work every day for our clients that we don't articulate that message in such a way that they understand the value. So what I'm trying to say here is that let's just say you do an extensive amount of work challenging the claims process, or in workers' compensation, you're getting a hold of claims adjusters and you're trying to challenge what's happening with those reserves. Oftentimes, our clients don't know all the great things that we do behind the scenes. So I'm saying wear your efforts on your sleeve, let people know what you're doing, and share it at your sales meetings. One of the things that I said in the article is about getting in front of a chart or a flipboard, or a flip chart, excuse me, or a whiteboard, and talking about all the great things that you do as individuals to help service the needs of your clients.
I thought that was the idea that really got my attention, because I hear a lot of people saying, starting to do this in their business meetings, in their in the planning meetings, the agencies, and say, then we have a whiteboard, and we're saying, okay, what again? And I really like that, because I hadn't heard that much. Good idea. Okay.
Right. So, I think about so many producers in agencies are doing individual things to help keep their clients or to help sell more products to their clients, but they don't necessarily communicate that in the agency. So what I'm saying is, sit down together and talk about what each of you do. What kind of knowledge or skills do you have in sales skills and customer service that may be great training for your top income generating accounts? And what are some of the classes that you may have attended where we can pay it forward to our clients? Another thing is, what are all the cool connections we have that would help make a difference? I got to tell you, if you're in the benefits or the property casualty side, especially on the business insurance side, and you don't become an exceptional connector or referral lead generator, I think you're doing your clients a disservice, because when you become that person who gives business to your clients, believe me, you will have plenty of abundance.
Let me ask you a question. What's a cool connection?
A cool connection is somebody maybe that would help their business. So, for example, in personal lines, maybe we can help connect them to contractors in the event of a flood, or people who maybe are connected in the community who can make a difference at the homeowners association meeting or come speak on a relevant topic.
You're coming right back to that personal relationship, everything you're saying.
Every time. And, you know, the reality is we do it in our personal lives all the time. I mean, for example, if I came to Santa Fe and I said, hey, George, where's the best place to eat in Santa Fe? You have an idea of where I should be going. And we don't think about that in giving great counsel and advice to our clients as often as we should.
All right. Let's go forward. Prospect clock. What's that?
So this is some interesting data actually that started from McGraw-Hill, and what they talk about is how often most salespeople never follow up with their prospects. And so my question is, are you a quitter?
Huh.
And when I first heard this, I realized that I'm a quitter when I first heard this information, and it really, right? So many of us are in this place. Check it out. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect.
It's so high. I mean,
it's so high. So think about all of those X dates sitting there that may have said, give me a call later, give me a call in a couple of weeks. How often don't we follow up? Next, 25% of salespeople make a second contact with the prospect, only 25%. 12% make 3 contacts with the prospect, and only 10% make more than 3 contacts. So let me bring this into the real world before we go to the next slide.
Okay,
all right? So this is kind of how it looks for me in the real world. I pick up the phone, give my prospect a call, and I'm likely going to leave a voicemail. Fine. So I leave a voicemail message. Of course, they don't return my call. Then, right?
Amen.
Amen. Then I send an email, and of course, they don't click reply. And then maybe I stop by their office or their place of business, or I send them another letter, or I make another introduction. And of course, they're not responding to me. This was me. Before I looked at these, statistics, I realized that I was a quitter. I would quit it 3 times. Why? Because our judgment says I'm a bother, I'm a nuisance, I'm making life difficult on them. But the reality is, when we stop or we quit after 3 times, we're setting our buyer up to buy from our competition.
I guess I am too, because I don't do that. I'm probably, well, what's the next? Where we go from?
Yeah. Of sales from the 4th contact, and 80% of sales, a significant amount of sales, come from the 5th to 12th contact. Now look, that may seem excessive, except we can come up with all kinds of creative ways to, quote, make connections. That could be through your LinkedIn, through your Facebook page, through emails, postcards, letters. Yes, people are still doing them, and in fact, it's becoming more and more popular because of the huge inundation of email. So I know producers that are getting super, super creative on this 5th to 12th contact, and they're finding ways to also have other people make introductions and referrals through that 250 network we talked about earlier.
You know what would really be good on this maybe is to, I like, if I had an agency, I think I would take a print of this somehow or another, put it on the wall.
Absolutely.
These guys scare the hell out of them.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, because this is reality, right? I mean, this is reality. This comes from McGraw-Hill, so it's a very credible source, and yet it's something for us to think about. And so I started really realizing how long it takes to build a relationship. And so I have a little timeline here for how long it takes relationships. So let's just say that I'm meeting somebody for the very first time. Of course, we make an introduction. We make it all about them because we're in sales. We have some sort of influence to show them that we matter, or that we have a niche market, or that they should pay attention to us for some reason. And then hopefully, if we're doing a good job building a relationship, we're going to find commonality, things we believe in together, or a cause that we believe in, or a way maybe that we can make a difference in their business or in their life, or resources that we can offer. During that time of building relationship, if I'm doing it the right way, another opportunity to build business will come. I will build credibility during the course of the timeline of that relationship if I'm focused for the right reasons instead of just on that almighty X date. So what I see so often is so many producers will look at 90 to 150 days out, but that's when all the other desperate souls come along. And then the anticlimactic renewal arrives, and they've already chosen someone else.
Oh, it's so true. Hey, you're getting better in your old age.
You think?
She's not old. No, this is good. I like what you're saying.
So in summary, you know, George, I just think it's important that so many times, you know, we're told, you know, sell, 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 and that's the best strategy, and be determined and go after a bunch of X dates. And I'm saying don't just be determined, but instead have a timeline and use your buy whens. Now, if anybody knows me, they know that my two favorite words in the English language are what are you going to do and buy when. Nothing happens without buy whens. So set calendar dates for how you're going to make those 5th to 12th or 5th to 11th contacts, and realize that relationships, real relationships, take time. And it's better to find out if they're not going to work out sooner versus later. If you wait until before the X date, it may be too late, and you could have sat there with that piece of paper or that documentation in your agency management system for months.
You're inspiring me. Keep going.
All right. And lastly, the time you spend to be creative far outweighs the time you waste in waiting on somebody to eventually tell you no. In other words, if I will use that timeline to my advantage and meet people and make connections and find influence, most people are either going to be willing to buy from me sooner or not, but at least I'll know when I can walk away.
You know, this your presentation here has been one of the shorter ones that we've had, and I'm glad because you go good. She says two thumbs up. No, it's really because you inspire. You know, we forget these things, don't you think?
I think so too. Yeah.
And I know we do. And I think that your listeners have heard something. Brandie is you can reach her and she responds. She's a very good responder. She helped me tremendously. We now have over 100,000 people who get Monday morning. And she gave me a start, but some of her, I mean, it helped me tremendously with some of the people that she'd been going to, and it's helped tremendously. And so I know if I were still running the Indiana and the Tennessee Big I associations, as I did many, many, many years ago, before you were born, Brandie, at any rate, I would have you in a second over there because I'm really interested in seeing more. And I want to pass the word about your ongoing program.
Oh, thank you so much. Actually, we have, I think we've got now 12 states around the country that have endorsed us for our change implementation program. And all that is, George, is we've just found a real common sense way to help insurance agencies of all sizes, whether they've got 2 people or 200, use a combination of online training, our templates, and our one-on-one performance coaching. And that's really what makes us different is we take a relationship-oriented approach and we take a results-oriented approach to help agency owners implement the changes, like all those goals and strategic initiatives that they always have that they never seem to quite get around to.
Well, and you also, you do CE work, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're working with ABEN, the Agents and Brokers Education Network, as well as filing CE for the speaking engagements that I'm doing around the country. And then I believe we've got a 4-hour CE class coming up in the state of New York here a little later this year.
I'm impressed. Congratulations, Brandie. I'm so proud of you. It's just, it's fun in life, you know, to watch people grow and grow and grow and grow. And she's done it. Well, for the rest of you, don't hesitate to call her. She'll be helpful. And she always has been. And those of you who are in associations or anything, gosh, get hold of Brandie. Get her on your program, and I can tell you will not be sorry. She just gave us 15 or 20 minutes of the top, off the top, and you ought to see it when it gets down in the middle of it, even more exciting. So, Brandie, thank you very much. For the rest of you, I will see you again next Monday morning.